Yeah, I remember it was like a little bit difficult for I think most people, but I guess we'll see here in this review that I had written a long time ago that was supposed to be like a big official review video but never got there because I think by that point my third channel closed. But anyways, let's see. So I say, alright, I think it's time we sit down and discuss why Mega Man 8 is quite possibly one of the worst platformers of its time. Oh wow, that's a pretty big claim. I know it's a big title to give a game, but until I find a worse platformer from the 32-bit era, the award is going to Mega Man 8 for now. Oftentimes, a game is criticized as being one of the worst in the classic series due to its anime style, but there's a lot more wrong with the game than just being too easy. It's not. And not looking like an outdated Nintendo Entertainment System game. I'm sorry, NES nostalgia purists. I know that there's like a lot of people who really, really love like 8-bit looking Mega Man and don't like anything else. Like they want to see Mega Man in 8-bit. Trust me, the way you guys defend Mega Man 1 through 6 like it's heaven's gift, I defend the 32-bit and arcade era of Mega Man. Well, some of them. Not Mega Man 8, obviously. And all honesty, I have a soft spot for that era of Mega Man because up until this day, it has been the only era that's depicted Mega Man well alongside the X and Zero series. That's debatable. I don't know if I still agree with that. But again, those games are mostly in 32-bit if we're not counting the questionably designed 3D-looking titles like X7 and X8. Yeah, fair enough. Mega Man 8 was one of the first Mega Man games. Okay, I think it's just history stuff, yeah. Let's see. So where exactly did Mega Man 8 go wrong? Well, it went wrong in the level design department, the voice acting department. Oh, the voice acting is really, really bad. Okay, that's one thing I do remember. The voice acting was fucking atrocious. The story department, the teaching department, etc., the list goes on. Unfortunately, this isn't entirely Mega Man 8's fault either. A lot of the issues come from the games before it. Some do not, but most do. And sadly, a lot of the issues that were found within Mega Man 8 got carried over into Mega Man Base. Plenty of parent-child problems, as you can tell. Alright, so let's see what we have. Starting with the level design department and the teaching aspects of the gameplay for Mega Man 8 is a standard jump, slide, and shoot 'em up that most Mega games are known for. The controls feel responsive during normal gameplay, however there were times I would find myself facing the wrong direction using the D-pad. This is more of a technical issue, so I will not count this as a point against the game. I think that was a problem with the X input, honestly, on the pad I was using. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem with the game. However, then there's a level design and the game's poor approach to teaching the player. This is not so much apparent in the intro stage as it does its job well, just like its predecessor Mega Man 7. There are a few walls you can jump over to help the player learn to navigate by jumping. There's a swimming area and a secret underground area, and you learn to shoot in order to protect yourself from oncoming enemies. In the intro stage, you meet some of the common enemies that you'll see throughout the course of the game, which is nice. During the intro stage, you gain one of Mega Man's first abilities, making the intro stage not feel entirely pointless. This ability being the Mega Ball, which allows Mega Man to spawn in a volleyball-looking ball that he can kick around and score damage on opponents that it hits. This is the first Mega Man game to have an intro stage where you actually gain a power-up. Let's see, I have not much, okay. You end up learning and utilizing two gameplay elements when you fight the boss of the intro stage. First, you learn slide, as it is key to dodging the boss's jumping movements. Since the intro stage does not actually require you to slide anywhere in the stage, the boss is where the game expects you to learn to use such a technique. However, this is not very good design. You should not be having the player learn the necessary skill in the heat of... This was a very common problem, not just in the intro stage, but I think in actually half the levels. Like, there was stuff that you would need to learn, but you wouldn't learn it until, like, it was too late, and you'd end up suffering for it. And then they have some slide on some bombs. Okay, so I was just kind of talking about how they should have, like, more tutorial-based gameplay within the stages. Unfortunately, whoever was designed for Mega Man 8 figured that the slide was not something they should have taught the player for whatever reason, despite it being a key ability that you absolutely need, yeah. Okay, let's see. See, before we move on talking about the second gameplay element that you learn against the intro stage boss, let me say... Oh, wait, what? Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a little bit different. Let's see, hang on a second, what did I say? Why in the world did the game development team not have the jump and slide helper signs in the intro stage? These helper signs show up in the horribly laid out Frostman stage and oh, the snowboarding sections. Oh my god, those were fucking terrible. More like distract the player and knowing what is coming up. It would have been nice to turn the intro stage into a little obstacle course type stage where the game would tell the player to slide, jump, and this would be in addition, shoot for the first couple of platforms, wall, gaps, and enemies. This would convey to the player, when you see these situations, this is how you're recommended to deal with them and to keep yourself alive. But as we all know, the intro stage does not work that way, and thus it is a very big missed opportunity to have not only a more fun intro stage, but also one that better teaches the player the primary mechanics of the game. Yeah, I remember the intro stage, it was just kind of, I mean, it's like most Mega Man intro stages. It's like short and doesn't really have a whole lot going for it. Granted, I would say I think it has more than 7, because at least it has that secret area. One might argue, but Mega Man 8 came out when manuals were still a thing. Insert rage noises here. To which I would have to say, that is true, but how many players actually sat down and read the manuals that came with their game? There's a reason most games don't have physical manuals any longer. But enough about the misintro stage design. Okay, well, on to the second gameplay element. So, let's see. The Mega Ball, it just expects you how to, let's see. The second gameplay element that the intro stage boss has you utilize is the Mega Ball. Unfortunately, this is the same issue with the slide. You not actually realize you need to know how to use the Mega Ball until you're in the middle of a fight with the intro stage's boss. And instead of the intro stage giving you an area where you have to hit the Mega Ball at like a switch or something to lock a gate or defeat a teaching enemy, one that does level damage and is basically a dummy, it just expects you to learn how to use it while a giant robot crab with a gumball machine for a brain is jumping up and down like an excited toddler on Christmas morning. So while the intro stage is not a bad stage, it feels very empty and has a lot of missed teaching opportunities that could really get the player engaged with the game. Yeah, that I remember the Mega Ball, not only I think did the game not really teach you how to use it, but I don't really think it has those many uses. Let's see. Now into the atrocious parts of the game. Much of the game suffers from just straight up poor stage design choices that some earlier Mega Man games dished out in frustrating fashion. For whatever reason, the developers were obsessed with cheap difficulty and figured that throwing good game design out the window would automatically make their game more of a challenge. And it does, just not in a good way. From enemies being placed directly on tops of ladders to spikes being situated directly over platforms that you're expected to jump to, Mega Man 8's level design, yeah, I remember a lot, yeah, a lot of the stage design was just abysmal. Clownman stage. Everything seems alright until you get to the stage's very first gimmick, the trains. At first glance, the trains seem fine as like, oh well, this seems easy enough. That is until you learn that the trains are not rideable by standing anywhere on top of them. You can only for some reason stand on the very back and end part of them, because apparently from the mid to the front of the train's top, it deals damage for unknown reasons. Wow, okay, yeah, I think this was the kind of stuff that started to piss me off about the game. It was like the inconsistency was... Let's see. Any new player is going to expect that if they can stand on one part of the train's top, they can stand anywhere on top of it, like a solid surface. Unfortunately, that is not the case, and so the player takes a few unnecessary hits trying to figure out what it is up with standing on trains. Not only that, but the trains also do not have well-written physics either. See, if you shoot a train from the back, it will bump it forward, causing it to move forward quicker. However, if you shoot a train from the front, it moves it forward quicker? No, not back, and moves forward. Instead of slowing down the train speeds up as you shoot buster shots against it. If anything, it should slow the train down and show sparks on the train, as Mega Man's buster shots have a physical effect on the train's momentum. Oh yeah, there's a lot. Honestly, I think Mega Man 8 suffered from a lot of missed detail, and honestly, like, them just not paying attention to the way that their game's mechanics were handling. Let's see. What else was there? So you realize that screwing around with the trains is pretty much pointless? Okay. You then maybe get hit by one of them from the front end. If you're a veteran Mega Man player, you can expect to die. Why? Because the trains feature spikes on the front ends of them. And it is common knowledge among Mega Man players that if you touch a spike, it is an instant kill. But no, you certainly learn that the spikes that are attached on enemies and objects do not instantly kill, only the ones attached to the floor, ceiling, and walls of the stage itself. Unfortunately, the game never clarifies this in its intro stage, so it's up to the player to figure out what spikes will insta-kill and what spikes will not insta-kill. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily a huge problem, because I feel like that would be something that might be... I don't really know if that's actually accurate to say that all spikes kill no matter what they're attached to, because I think in most Mega Man games, if there's spikes on an enemy, you're not going to die from them. Let's see. But that's not even the worst part of Clownman stage. Oh no, after dealing with the trains, you come across a gimmicky tower climb area where you have to jump from Jack in the Box to Jack in the Box and make sure you don't accidentally... Oh yes, yeah, this was fucking terrible. The Jack in the Box maze area was just, oh my god. Stand on the O-Box with the toy soldier smacks the bell and you remain safe. If you get caught standing on an arrow one when the toy soldier smacks the bell, then you're bound to get sent back to some early part in the gimmick area and you will have to repeat the process. Oh, the question mark box. Yeah, that's one thing I remember about the Clownman stage was like, there was like that really extended gimmicky area that just made the stage beyond frustrating. It just like a complete shit fest. Let's see. Your brain is feeling the bell goes off for a few seconds. Yeah, okay. There's Grenades Man stage. This stage is decently designed. There are areas where the game's terrible enemy respawn rate will screw you over. But there are not many areas that end up being infuriatingly impossible. If you have the base mechanics of the game down, you should be able to navigate the stage areas no problem. However, for the mini boss and the stage boss, you better be very well prepared as both are overwhelming, especially to newer players. Both the mini boss and the stage boss always require the player to move around rapidly in order to avoid taking damage. Make one small move in the wrong direction, you're bound to take a good deal of damage. Even though the intro stage fails at preparing the player for this level of fast-paced boss battle action, the mid-boss prepares you somewhat for the stage boss, Grenade Man. Okay, so I'm gonna see, because I remember Grenade Man being kind of wild at first. Grenade Man's quick movement and complex to read at first attack patterns can leave a new player feeling very confused. The movement of Grenade Man is akin to something you find in the Mega Man Zero games bosses. He dashes around, wall cleans, throws out projectiles in different spreads, etc. The boss fight becomes especially difficult near the end when Grenade Man decides to break the floor. This right here is one of the worst game design choices, not because of the concept, but because of how it is executed. Instead of letting the fight pause for a bit and having Grenade Man go through its time to get serious moment that lets the player breathe a bit, Grenade Man just throws down some sticky bombs in the middle of the fight and the floor is like, bye bye, hope you have fun. Oh yeah, I remember this. And it like really throws you off. Oh, this is so bad. So then Grenade Man and the player are falling to another floor and the player has little time to recollect themselves. But that is not the worst part. The layout of the boss room also has changed, now featuring a jagged surface with the floor raised at different levels. All the while, Grenade Man is still attacking the player at full force. At this point, the player isn't expecting any of this, and the fight turns into a blind shooting match with the player hoping they can get as many hits in on the boss to finish him before he finishes them off. I think that's actually only actually really a big problem if you don't have Thunderclaw from Clownman's stage. Because if you do have Thunderclaw, I don't think it's as bad. If you don't have Thunderclaw, then it's an absolute nightmare. It completely interrupts the flow of the fight. And instead of encouraging the player to get into a good groove, the game throws okay, learn this new platform environment while you try to keep yourself barely alive against this guy. And I say barely alive because of the player's first boss, then you're in for a rough time. Yeah, that was, no, Grenade Man's stage was terrible. Frostman, Frostman's stage, there's this right here, I'm pretty sure is just talking about the terrible snowboarding sections, yeah, right here. Which I probably won't go into too much detail about because it's pretty self-explanatory. Anyone who's played Mega Man 8 knows that the snowboarding sections are fucking awful. Actually, I want to see the small part. Hang on a second. Well, this is a result of the snowboard's controls rather than being... Hang on a second. Say you're moving back a bit to try and compensate for the speed versus lack of screen space, and then a jump comes up. So then you go to make the jump, and instead of jumping, when you press the jump button, you fall off the platform to your death and go, what the actual fuck was that? Well, this is a result of the snowboard's control rather than it being some sort of terrible input lag or lack of player reaction. If you try inputting any directional movements before jumping off a ledge, you're 9 times out of 10 likely to just drop off the ledge to your death rather than watching Mega Man jump like he should. Unfortunately, this causes the player to start jumping earlier for fear of Mega Man not jumping in time for the platform's end. This becomes more and more problematic as the snowboard segments speed up to the point where the player is simply guessing or memorizing what to do. Yeah, that combined with the signs just made Frostman's stage absolutely abysmal. Then comes Tinga Man's stage. Let's see. Tinga Man's stage and everything. Okay, so here we are with Tinga Man's stage, and everything seems fine and dandy until you realize that the stage is basically Mega Man meets Gradius. You hop and rush, and for most of the stage, you're stuck with mindlessly shooting bullets at... Oh yeah, it's like that one Astro Boy Omega Factor stage where it's just basically like a shoot 'em up stage where you're flying in midair. Let's see. The player must stand on a water pad at a bubble encase them and carry them upward. The player can move left and right, and upon learning this, naturally you'd figure you could press up to increase the ascension speed of the bubble or down to slow the ascension speed of the bubble. But no, you're regulated to an in-game set ascension speed, and there's nothing you can do about it. See a spike thing coming your way? Too bad, you can't move upwards any faster. See a spiky thing overhead that you could avoid if you slow down your ascension a little bit? Too bad for you, you can't do anything about it. And so you watch as Mega Man's bubble is popped, and he falls back to the start of the bubble gimmick area, praying that he doesn't collide with several floating spikes. Oh, okay, this actually, okay, now I do remember. At first I was reading it, I was kind of confused, but no, yeah, there's like this vertical shaft where you have this like bubble, like, I don't want to say it's a launcher, it's like a bubble encaser. And you can't go up or down at your own speed necessarily, or like, you can't adjust the speed. And like there's like these spikes going back and forth, and like pretty much if you're going to hit them, you're gonna hit them because there's nothing you can do about it. Then comes into play the enemy respawn rate. combined with the noxious wind-blowing gimmick. All this combined with the sporadic turbine platforms that seem to have a mind of their own and how high they float, and the stage becomes a grueling mess. Wow. Yeah, I'm starting to actually get flashbacks to this, where you just have a bunch of enemies spawning on screen, the wind would be blowing against you, and then the platforms you're supposed to jump to, like, would just go up and down sporadically. It was a mess. Let's see. So I think it's finally at this point that we address the enemy respawn of this game. It's a fucking joke. You clear an entire room of enemies, and 2 seconds later, as you walk 3 steps back to nab an energy tank, all the enemies are somehow back. From both forward, behind, above, and below. I don't actually remember this being a really common problem. So this must have happened. I mean, maybe I could see it in like Grenades Man stage or something. Oh, you know what it probably was? It was probably Aquaman stage. That's probably what it was. And if you destroyed enough enemies enough times over, they begin to stop dropping you energy tanks, and so you begin wondering what's even the point of taking down wildly evil machines, as all they do is respond the second you take a step away from where you took them down. Okay, let's see. What else is there? After playing through the first 4 Robot Masters, you're treated to another awfully scripted cutscene sequence as you ponder how Capcom didn't hire better voice actors for one of their mainline Mega Man titles. As you listen to Dr. Light talk about evil. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, the really, really terrible voice acting. Yeah, there was a lot of bad lines in there. There was a lot of bad lines. Like, I remember watching the cutscenes was abysmal. See, hang on a second. Let me scroll down a little bit. You begin to realize that the story makes no sense as a cutscene sequence nears its close. The robot that Dr. Light is taking care of wakes up, crushes a container of some evil energy, and bursts out of the lab at lightning speeds, leaving a gaping hole in the ceiling. And then Dr. Light is like, Mega Man, you should totally go after this robot that neither of us know and see what he's up to, since he might be dangerous, even though we don't know how powerful or dangerous he is. And so Mega Man and Rush chase after this mysterious robot who turns out to be Duo later. It's implied that Duo flew across half the world to some place in the Middle East, and Mega Man and Rush gave chase over the entire distance. All I've got to say is that Rush must have a mighty energy bank inside of him. Eventually the player meets Duo after navigating a stage that is almost like a secondary intro stage. However, it unsurprisingly does not take the opportunity to introduce the player to threats and new traps that will be seen in the next half of the game. It's a small run through an area that the player can mess around with the abilities that they've already got to grab a few goodies. Then there's a battle with Duo. This boss battle becomes problematic for 2 reasons. 1, Duo is shown to have no health bar. 2, the weapons that the player acquired in the first half of the game seem to have no priority effect on Duo, and thus the player is left confused as to how they're supposed to take on Duo, aside from dodging his pattern of attacks and shooting a few buster shots at him, hoping he eventually falls. Or, if you're a veteran Mega Man player, coming off the likes of Mega Man X, you assume that it's a scripted boss fight that you cannot win, and thus you just let Duo hit you a few times. That is until you end up dying and going, wait, what the actual fuck was that? There's no way to know when the Duo fight is going to end. He has no health bar, there's no endgame hits or signs, Duo does not become slower or physically show damage. No, he just at some point stops moving around and a dialogue cutscene starts playing out. Let's see. So the player is basically left shooting this guy until the game internally decides that Duo has suffered enough damage points to initiate a dialogue cutscene. Okay, that sounds really fucking stupid. There's no good reason as to why Duo's health bar is not shown, and if the reasoning is because he's supposed to be mysterious, then that's complete bullshit. Even Mega Man 7, who had Bass as a new mysterious character, wouldn't let you die on a fight where a health meter was not present. Why? Because it was a scripted fight, just like Mega Man X's intro stage. The player is not meant to win or lose a fight because they don't know what terms in which the battle stands upon. But Mega Man 8 just throws the logic right out the window. It's like, you better have stamina or else you will hear the wah of Mega Man as he turns into blue sapphires. And so then after you defeat Duo, Mega Man is like, who are you? And Duo is like, you have a strong sense of justice. How Duo comes to the conclusion and honestly beats me? Apparently picking a fight with people and then seeing how strong they are determines their sense of justice in Mega Man's world. I guess a Mafia would be in good shape if they were in Mega Man's shoes. Since Duo would probably praise him with a strong sense of justice after they mob him. That or Duo can just read minds and realize that Mega Man is just an innocent and young robot boy who's just trying to do the right thing. Then Proto Man crashes the conversation as usual and is like, I don't know about him, Mega Man, while Duo crashes through the wall and disappears like nothing was going on to begin with. Then comes another horribly scripted animation cutscene, and Mega Man literally asks Duo who he is for a second time despite having encountered him and witnessing his abilities. This time Duo just basically says, hey bro, I'm Duo, what's up, and doesn't really elaborate as to who he is. By this point, the plot becomes painful, and Duo talks of the evil energy is so basic that it hurts. His dialogue literally runs along the lines of, this evil energy will make people evil, and it was made by someone evil. Looks like I need to find the rest of the evil energy that's really evil. And then he realizes that there's a barrier surrounding Wily's castle that's apparently not well hidden. And he tells Mega Man to go do some stuff to take down the barrier, to which Mega Man responds with an okay and runs off with this rush to handle the next 4 Robot Masters. At this point in the game, I set down the controller and just held my head in disbelief. People often would cite Mega Man 8 for being a bad game for its art style, musical tastes, and everything else that wasn't wrong with it and call it an easy game. By no means is Mega Man 8 easy. The only easy thing about the game is that there are save points halfway through the stages so you can try stages over and over again while the game happily pitches continuous screens at you as it relentlessly bats horrible gimmick after horrible gimmick. Eventually the experience becomes tiresome. Unfortunately, everything is wrong with Mega Man 8 other than the art and the music. The voice acting is atrocious, the stage design is borderline garbage for most of the time, the screws are just a backtracking gimmick to extend play. Oh, the screws, yes. Actually, I just read about that I think the other week. Someone wrote an article about how terrible the screws were in Mega Man 8. The game barely teaches you how to play it properly, etc, etc. As for the art and the music though, it's all rainbow and sunshine. Or rainbows and sunshine. With great atmospheric tunes and beautiful 32-bit pixel art that exhibit lively animations, Mega Man is a great piece of art as just that, a piece of art. As for a video game, it's poorly designed mess that Capcom could have done a much better job with had they taken the proper time to think things through. It's hard to say if the game was rushed at all for the 1996 holiday in Japan or not, but there are definitely areas of the game that scream, we only tested this a few times and rolled with it. However, it seems that no one from the development team saw much wrong with Mega Man 8 because many of the issues that were present in 8 can be found in the halfway sequel Mega Man and Base. Failure in and of itself is not great, but learning from those failures is what matters. Sadly, it looks like the development team behind Mega Man 8 did not learn what made 8 a not so great game. But hey, at least there's Mega Man 1 with Iceman stage if Mega Man 8 wasn't problematic enough for you. Wow, yeah, I really tore into this game. I mean, I actually, like, just from reading that, I finally have remembered why I couldn't deal with Mega Man 8 anymore. And why I pretty much, I didn't even think I even completed Wily's castle, because it was just so frustrating. And the snowboarding parts were just, they were absolutely, like, they were beyond tragic. Like the design in them, I just still do not understand who thought that like the whole jump and like slide type thing while like having the screen move really fast was gonna be a good idea, but oh my god. But anyway, so that is that's pretty much it though as for this review. And honestly, this would have actually probably made for quite a long video, but I still just, it kind of boggles my mind how Mega Man 8 hasn't been remade or anything, because, I mean, it is one of, like, the only, I think, classic Mega Man games in 32-bit, because Mega Man and Base, I mean, I guess you could count maybe the GBA version of 32-bit, but the original bit, like, version is 16, so, granted, I don't know if the art style really was all that different between the PS1 and Super Nintendo back then, so, but anyways. So that's going to be a wrap for today, as we look through the old review script for Mega Man 8 and everything that was wrong with the game. I was actually considering turning this into like an official review video, but then I realized that there was like missing parts to the script, so I was like, oh, okay, was not like even a completed thing. So I decided just to pretty much just do it now, so to read it through, and then I can of course just upload this later, but oh man, the tragedy of Mega Man 8.